Hi, welcome to the SON channel. Today we're going to go over winterizing, and what we have here is a new twister, 2023 with the Trail Boss conversion, 13-foot short wall, and we're going to go over winterizing our trailer. Now the newer units, they have valve systems in the hoses already from Trail Boss, the living quarters, for doing getting the antifreeze out of the jug and everything. But if you don't have one of those, one of the things you will need is just make up a 1/2-inch swivel fitting and a hose to be able to hook to your pump. But we won't need that for this one. Next thing is for our water heater. This is a Suburban, so it takes an 1 1/16 socket. If you have an Atwood or a Dometic, those are going to be either 7/8 or a 15/16 socket. Other than that, that's about the only tools you'll need. First thing you do before you go to drain your water heater is you want to hit your relief valve and make sure there's no pressure in there before you go to pull the plug out. Otherwise, you're going to get really wet. So now that I have the pressure relieved, I'm going to go ahead and pull the plug. Now on a Suburban water heater, we have an anode rod. And what this does is, because that's a steel tank, is it allows the calcium and hard water to eat away at this anode rod instead of the tank. Now when we're done running our antifreeze, we're going to take this over and use the wire wheel on the grinder, but if you don't have one of those, you can just use a wire brush and clean it up. Now this one's not ready to be replaced yet. When they get to be about the size of a pencil, that's when you'd want to throw another one in there, and these are about $18, and you can find them real easily on Amazon. We'll add a link for that. And then you want to add just some thread tape, clean the old ones off, put fresh thread tape on there, and get it ready for the next year. This one's already empty, but you would want to put you a bucket down here if you're inside to catch all your water, or if you're outside, just let it drain on the ground. So we would let that drain if it had water in it, and then we'd move inside. Once you get inside, wherever the back of the water heater is, 90% of the time is where your valve is going to be. So this is the back of the water heater area. We're going to pull our access panel, and we're going to find two things on this particular living quarters. We're going to find the cold water low point drain, and then our valve for our bypass on the water heater. And the reason you have one of those is so you don't fill your water heater with antifreeze. It saves money on antifreeze, and it keeps from building up that little bit of film in the water heater. It like sticks to that metal tank. So can you zoom in on this valve? Can you see the valve? So right now it's already turned into bypass. So if it was pointing this way, this is our cold in, and that is an in-use position. So we're going to turn it this way, and it's pointing to the bypass line. And that's for winterization. And this connects our cold to our hot. And we only have one valve on this setup because we have a check valve. So water can only come out of the water heater and not go in. And that's how we get away with a single valve. Some units will have 3 valves, where you have one on the cold, one on the hot, and then one on your bypass line. And so you would turn off the hot, turn off the cold, and open the valve on the bypass line where it's in line with the water line. And that's how you know that it's in the winterization position. That way you get antifreeze in the hot line without filling the tank. Gravity. Okay, we're going to move over here to the sofa, and this is where our fresh tank is located. We're going to move our kick panel. Alright, we got a bunch of stuff going on underneath here a little bit. We have a fresh water tank in our pod. So we have 2 fresh tank drains here. Pod, living quarters. And then we have our winterization valve. And that hose that I showed you earlier, this one is already built in and connected. So that's why I don't need to use the hose on this one. So on this valve, right here, when it's in line, that's fresh tank to pump. We're going to turn it towards this hose. Now the pump is going to suck right out of the jug. fixture and run till we get pink out of the hot and the cold side. Normally I like to start at the point furthest away from the pump. So we'll go back here to the bathroom. Yes, help us to turn our pump on. I'm going to turn the water pump on. You can hear it. Run until we get good pink, cold, hot. And then let it run a little extra so that you get antifreeze in your P-trap, because you want to get that water worked out of your P-trap where you'll have a frozen drain or maybe even a cracked drain. We're going to do the shower. This one is, I like to run extra, and when I get done I take my jug and pour it in the drain of the shower, because that's a little more difficult to get to and a little more costly if it fails. So you want to make sure you get plenty of antifreeze in your drain of your shower. So we're going to cold, nice pink, hot, and nice pink. I'll let that lay there for a minute so that it drains out of the hose. We'll go to the toilet. Nice pink. And you can leave it sit in there so that your rubber seal on your ball valve or knife valve, depending on the toilet, doesn't dry out. So as long as you keep that wet or keep a little valve grease or even dielectric grease on that seal, your toilet will hold water and the smells from the tank won't come into the living quarters. Then we'll do the kitchen faucet. Cold. And hot. Now we got the living quarters done. There's one more thing we need to do. So we would turn the pump off. We would relieve pressure on the line. And then we would go to our city water hookup. Now this particular unit, we're not going to have anything to do out here. But that's only because it has a flow jet with built-in regulator. So there's nothing you can do with it. But if you pull your screen out, and if you had a regular city water, you'd see the little shaft of the check valve sticking out right here. And so you relieve the pressure so you can push that and get some pink out of your city water so that there's not just water sitting that much of it and freezing. To relieve the pressure so you don't blow the O-ring off of your check valve. But this one has a built-in regulator, and we can't get anything out of it, and there's really not much you can do except for make sure you run everything real good, and 99% of the time you're perfectly fine. So now with another pump. So we're going to have to move up there, and we'll go through the process of getting pink from that pump down into the living quarters, and then we'll open the fresh tank drains and we'll be done. All right, we've made our way up into the pod, and Trail Boss does all of this tank covering and access panel here. So if you have a Trail Boss conversion, it's going to be pretty much identical. Now we're going to have to find our valve again, which is going to be right here. And so if it's in line with the water line, that's from the tank. I'm going to turn it to where it points up to our suction hose. Oh, made a little bit of a mess, but I'll wipe that up. Put it in the jug. And then we're going to make our way back down to the living quarters. And on your monitor panel, which we'll show you again when we get down there, your pump switch goes two ways. So one side is going to be living quarters, the other side is going to be the hay pod pump. So we'll go down there and go over that and suck some antifreeze from here all the way down, and make sure that our valve for this tank down underneath the sofa is open so that the tank drains, and we'll be done. Side. Now on the Trail Boss's monitor panel, this side to the left is LQ. To the right, that's the pod tank. Water pump switch right there. And now we're hooked to the jug, and we're going to use that pump and keep running it and get plenty of pink out. You don't have to go through and redo every fixture. Just pick one and run it till you get good pink out. And then shut the pump off. And then verify one more time that your tank drains are open. That's these two here. And you can see we got clear line. And that will just drain right onto the ground, or if you're inside in your barn or something, just put you a bucket underneath there, or a water pan or something. And then put everything back together, and we always take a towel, wipe all that pink out of there so it doesn't stain anything. Make for a nice clean winterization. So if you like our video today, please like and subscribe, and you'll keep up to date on all of our new videos. Alright guys, now we're to the point for cleaning our anode rod. We're going to use our grinder with the wire wheel. Be sure to wear safety glasses. Little bits of wire come flying off of here. Not good. So we're going to clean this up, and then we'll put some fresh thread tape on it. You don't have to push hard, just let the wire wheel do the work. And we're just cleaning the surface off. That way when you go to use it next year, it's got a nice clean surface for them hard water deposits to eat away at. Now that I got some clean, I can really hang on to it. That's why I switched it up. There we go. Now you can see here it's starting to get skinny. That's normal for it to eat away real close to the plug, and it starts working its way down. But once the whole thing gets about like this or a little smaller, you can replace it. I mean, you can replace it anytime you want, but it's not really necessary until it gets about the size of a pencil, like I mentioned earlier. So we're going to do thread tape. And when you do thread tape, think about how you tighten it in there. So if it's going in this way to tight, you want your tape going in the same direction so that it doesn't try to roll off of the threads as you're tightening it. We'll just put a couple layers on there. That's all you gotta do. And that's ready for next year.